Good evening. Hi, everybody. You are watching The Barbershop. I am your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. Thank you so much for watching. I'm just going to hit the Instagram button real quick. We've already shared the show, so hopefully a lot of folks are on watching today. I am your host of The Barbershop, and we are talking today about the thin line between love and hate. The thin line between love and hate. And I'm really interested to hear some comments. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you're thinking. There's so many different so many different ways that we talk about love when we talk about hate, and there's such vulnerable and passionate sentiments, right? And so I want to talk a bit about those particular emotions. So this show, of course, is brought to you by the Going Solo Network, the Going Bold Network, Bold Magazine, Fabby Plus Magazine, Strutter Magazine, and That Professor Life Consulting and Life Coaching. So excited to have you with us. Quick update on me, what's going on with me. Work is really great. I'm still teaching at my university, which I love. We've got some new books on the way with regard to your career, so super excited about that. Bold and Fabby Plus are still going strong. We just hired some new sales reps, so we're going to be getting some new stuff on. We've got some really interesting new articles with regard to the pandemic and even sex work, and really interesting stuff with regard to the plus size community. What's up with the network? I mean, we're building it. I mean, just so that you know, if you haven't advertised with us yet, Cece, who just dropped down to produce the show, told me that in our first month we have like 6,000 views on Roku. So like, dude, if you're not advertising on our network, you're out of your mind, because soon we're going to be raising our prices. That said, before we get going on our topic tonight, and our topic tonight is, oh, Stacy's back. Oh, Stacy, you going to give me some trouble? Before we get going on our topic, which is the thin line between love and hate, I want to just take a quick moment of silence or prayer. I like to pray. That doesn't mean you have to pray. Let's just take a quick moment of silence and talk. For somebody, could be yourself, could be a family member, could be a friend. Just take a moment of silence, put some positive vibes out there. And it's as simple as that. I'm not pressing my religion on you. I'm just saying to take a break. Throw some good vibes out there. If you have another good vibe to send, can you send some good vibes my way? I've had quite a couple of weeks. I was unfortunately admitted into I was with the ER, urgent care kind of thing. My breathing's not doing too great. They don't know if they're pretty sure it's not my heart, but it could be my lungs, something with my diaphragm, that kind of stuff. Stacy says, I'll be good this time. You'll win this one. First of all, let me explain something to you, Stacy, and to all the viewers out there. Okay. I have extremely stubborn views on open relationships, and I feel that it is the future of dating. For those who said that I lost that debate last night or in the last show, you need to remember that Cece is a dear friend of mine, and I would never offend her. And so I went easy on Cece, and Stacy, I adore you, so I didn't lay into you as much as I wanted to, because I wanted to. A good friend of mine says the true test of whether you're a good debater or not is, can you see the other person's side and come to that middle ground? And I feel that we all won the debate, Stacy, because you showed me.
Wrong. I won. Okay, I'm going down. But just remember, I win.
Yeah,
and I have all my friends out there that are helping me. Stacy, Kimmy, all of those.
Your friends.
Although Terry did betray me at the end.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Anyhow. All right, I'll get on with it. Bye.
Bye. No, but I do. I feel that the true essence of a debate is when both folks can come to an understanding. And I felt that there was a lot more understanding than there was contradiction. I really enjoyed that. The timing was impeccable, Steve. It really was, Mandy. It really was. So we're going to talk about the thin line between love and hate. And I want, how I always talk about a couple of movies that kind of talk about the, I can see your side, and that's right for you. Thank you so much. So I always talk about a couple of movies that will, kind of illustrate this essence, right? As long as it's based in love, who cares? Two people or two or three, totally get it. So it's that topic is so profound and so controversial that it's bleeding into our next show. We should just do another show on it. So the couple of movies I picked, there's actually it's on Reader's Digest, 10 movies that illustrate the thin line between love and hate. So let's bring it. So a classic right here. Clueless is such a great movie that talks about the thin line between love and hate, because you've got this, if you don't remember, Cher and whoever Paul Rudd played, what was Paul Rudd's name? I forget, but Josh. They kind of hated each other. Rise with Ronnie. We should work together. Sure, man. Just send me or person. I don't even know if I can't see your thing. Whomever you are, please send me a note. We'll definitely work together. But Josh and Cher kind of had this like hate relationship. They were stepbrother and sister, which is a little weird, kind of Brady-ish, but it's fine. So they had a kind of a love hate relationship. Phil and Rita from Groundhog Day, there's a great one, right? They hated each other in the beginning. He got to know her. He fell in love with her. He kind of made her fall in love with him, but he did it out of love and kindness and respect, right? So I thought that was a really good one. 10 Things I Hate About You is absolutely another one, right? The fact that they loved each other, but they hated each other, and there was so much going on between the two of them. So interesting. Kathy and Joe from You've Got Mail, right? Two polar opposites, and so you crossed with their businesses, and they fell in love. So really, really interesting. And then, funny enough, and you've got another Meg Ryan movie with When Harry Met Sally. So another kind of love-hate relationship, which these are all great. The essence of all these movies, though, and the essence of the show tonight is, that love and hate are not so far apart from one another, and they really are. They're not necessarily on the opposite side of the spectrum. They are truly related kind of topics. So how did this topic come about, right? So I've experienced this a lot, right? Have you experienced it? Have you experienced loving someone so much that you grow resentful, or when you're disappointed there's some hate there, or something like that? And let me when I talk about this topic for a second, I truly want to be transparent with this topic and all my topics. I once had somebody say to me, don't put me on one of your shows because you're not going to go out with me again. And I what kind of person do you think I am? First of all, like I'm not. That's not. Those aren't the conversations that I have. But I don't immediately go break up with someone and then put them on my show. I don't get into a fight with someone and then put them on my show. I don't. Whatever. Like the stories that I tell are typically much longer. I've been dating for a long time, and so it's a much longer process that, you wind up on my show, and I never use names and I never use details. And if you note, I always amalgam, meaning I combine various people and I change the story enough so that it doesn't even reflect the same story, but you still get the point. So this particular topic I've been thinking about for a long time, because I've experienced so many folks in my life who, you love someone and then it's like such a quick reaction to like grow to hate them, right? And I've been in that kind of situation where you love and then it's like it flips on you, And I thought to myself, are they such passionate relationships? Are they such passionate emotions that's really the only thing that you can do, is go from loving someone to kind of hating someone, right? I thought this was a really interesting topic, specifically when we're talking about what's going on with, not so much Will and Jada, because I think that's just some toxicity, but Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. I mean, let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about the fact that these two people have love for each other, or had love for each other, and yet they're at points in their relationship. Now, when I say I don't know the whole story, I don't know enough of the whole story. I see what I see, but I wasn't there. You know what I mean? Now everyone's talking about, Johnny Depp was definitely abused, and Amber Heard. And look, I'm going to stand by my guy, because if he says there was abuse there, there was abuse there. The same way that I would stand by a woman if there was evidence for abuse, right? If he says there was abuse and there's evidence for abuse, then there's abuse, right? So you have to just be aware of that, right? So let's say, before we jump into that, Shariva says, hate is a second step feeling. It is not a root feeling and the product of other feelings. So hate typically comes from what, Shariva? Hate typically comes from fear, right? Fear is typically something that that drives you to hate, as far as I've read, right? You may, you're an intelligent person, so you may have found something different, but that's typically what I find is hatred of someone comes from the fear that there's going to be pain there, that they can do something that's going to hurt you. And so it is possible to kind of love and hate someone, right? But I'd be curious to see what your thoughts are, right? And with that, if you're on my Instagram, you're going to want to hit up the link on my Instagram. It's on my story, and it's the thin line between love and hate. It's actually on YouTube, and then you can come on and you can comment. So I will see my Instagram folks in a second. We're going to end that. But Shariva, yeah, definitely tell me what your thoughts are when you say, that it's a secondary emotion. Because I do agree with you, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. And let me just post this. Thin line between love and hate from Las Vegas. We're doing it at the Men's Bold Network. We're going to tag the Men's Bold Network. God, it's so annoying. All the things you have to do on social media, I swear. It's like, can we just have fun and enjoy our lives? Like, let's get some bottle caps or some sticks and just play. You know what I mean? All right, cool. That's being shared. Awesome, awesome, awesome. While that's being shared, let's head over to TikTok, get that live. It's like the most ridiculous. Let's just we can't do one thing at a time, right? Let's see. Whoops. Love and hate. Let's see if this gets Amber Heard and Depp. Let's see. Love and hate. That might get some. Let's see if that gets some viewership. Amber Heard and Depp. Okay, let's see. So anyway, we're going live on TikTok in a second, but I want to talk about this Amber Heard thing for a second, because I think it's important to note. And let's see. Stacy says I totally, I hear that. So I want to talk about when we say the thin line between love and hate. How do I flip this? Oh shoot, I've got to flip this. How do I flip it? Hold on. Does anybody know how to flip the TikTok thing? I'm so bad at that. How do I flip it? I'm like literally I teach technology. Like freaking kill me. I thought if you just double tap it, it flips. This is the worst. Hold on. Interact, enhance, flip camera. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. So I want to quickly talk about this Amber Heard thing. So Amber Heard and Johnny Depp have this ongoing thing, right? And we can Google it. We can talk about it, right? Amber Heard, apparently, she put feces on Johnny Depp's pillow, and all these things were happening between her and Johnny Depp. And you have to think about the fact that these lines are so blurred. These lines are so conjoined, this love and this hate, right? You can love someone, you can hate someone. When someone flips it on you, what is the reason? What's the reason that, let's say, Amber Heard would do that? What's the reason that she would threaten Johnny Depp? What's the reason that she would hurt Johnny Depp in that way? And look, I'm not saying what she did was not right by any means. Now, there are some folks saying he did some pretty nasty stuff too. And to be honest, I'm not backing it up, but I didn't hear the specifics on that. So I don't know, right? I just don't know. But what I do know is that at some point there was love there. And then all of a sudden this thing flips. And I think to myself, what could start you in hating someone after you love them? And the first thing that I think about is vulnerability, is the fact that you've been vulnerable with someone and you've left yourself out there in a way that you could get hurt. And so when that person hurts you or you get hurt, now I want to be clear about this, because there's someone hurting you and there's you getting hurt. And but they're not the same. Now, you may think that somebody hurt you, but it's also possible that you got hurt, right? They didn't hurt you, you got hurt, right? So it's possible that, let's say, Amber and Johnny are in this relationship, and that's cool, and then something happens where she gets hurt. Now, did Johnny hurt her or did she get hurt? We weren't there. We don't know. Let's say for a second, let's make it a one-sided hatred. Let's say Johnny Depp didn't do anything and Amber Heard got hurt. She may place blame on Depp and say, well, I blame you for the hurt that I'm feeling, and to inflict that pain upon you, I'm going to go from love to hate. And I'm going to go from loving to hating you. And the actions that I'm going to take that were first loving are going to now be actions that I take and creating and exhibiting that hatred, right? So look, let's be real. nobody's going to chop off your finger because they love you, right? They're going to definitely chop off your finger because they hate you. Now, are there some activities in which Amber Heard probably took into account or did that could have been construed as either a love or hate kind of activity? Sure. Like maybe keeping tabs on your lover, saying, hey, check in with me when you're at so-and-so place. To be quite honest, in any of my relationships, if I say to my lover, hey, before you go to sleep tonight, check in with me. Or you know what? When you get home tonight, I'd like you to check in with me. Not because I don't trust you, but because I need to know that you're safe. Right. And so that's a loving type of thing. Now, that particular same activity, check in with me or check in with me before you go to sleep or when you get home. If somebody hates you, that is not love. That is control. That is resentment. That is, all the other junk that we talk about. And so it's very possible that Amber Heard started with a crap ton of love and then moved away from all that love and had a lot of hatred in her heart, and that hatred manifested itself in some pretty bad stuff. Now, I got some comments here. Can we pull those back up again, Cece? Because you rock and you're just moving a little faster than I am. So the first one, fear, perceived rejection. Absolutely. So Stacy says fear and perceived rejection could bring you from love to hate. And I would 1000% agree. That's the time at which we've got some vulnerability and we give someone something and they don't receive it in the way that we want them to receive it. And so that love that we have can quickly turn to hatred because the passion that we gave to that person is not being accepted in a way that makes us feel good. And so we go from love to hate, right? So now Mandy says, I feel like hate is so often one person projecting their inner pain onto the other. Hurt people. I'm going to agree with you there. So for those who didn't hear that, Mandy says, hurt people on TikTok. And, here's the thing. I agree with you there. Some folks only know how to equate love and toxic stuff, right? They only know fighting with regard to love. Well, if we're not fighting, we're not really in love. You could love each other and not fight, right? Let me slow down on these comments because I've got some other TikTok comments. Jesse Kaitown says, I think that her love did turn to hate, but I think it was fear of the love that was ending. I love that. If I don't follow you, Jesse Kaitown, I'm going to, because you're super intelligent. I love that. I agree with that, right? I think that what wound up happening, I am not justifying Amber Heard at all. Right? Salem Asher says, facts, I totally agree. I'm not justifying what Amber Heard did. I'm not justifying a lover controlling your every move. I'm not justifying any of that. Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that what's likely happened in that particular situation is there was love there. There was love there, and that love wasn't reciprocated. That love wasn't received. That somebody went out and said, I'm vulnerable. I love you. I want you. And what wound up happening was when it wasn't received, they took action that was not the right thing to do, but they were in a more hateful type of mindset, right? So that's what I think. So Jesse says she knew in her heart that Depp was on a different path, and that turned into anger. Oh, do I love that? And as you know, Jesse, if you are a Star Wars fan, and I hope that you are, because we're going to be best friends now that you're an intelligent human on my show. Yoda specifically says, the path to the dark side, fear is, right? And so that was pretty good. And so what Yoda says is fear leads to anger. Anger leads to whatever. And then you pull out your lightsaber and you kill a bunch of people. And so we're on the same page. It's that fear that drives you to that hatred, to that anger, to those dark places, right? So Asher says something happens and they react 1000%, and then you laughed at me, which I do appreciate the laugh for sure. And with that, I have to say to my TikTok folks, love you, miss you. Go to the Shoreby on my page, or just go right to YouTube and type in WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. You'll see me right up top, and you can click the link, watch us on YouTube, and you can join the fun. So I'll see y'all in a second. Bye. And Cece, are we taking a break or no break for commercials? Yes. Okay, great. So that's a perfect time for us to take a break. It's at the 20-minute spot. Hey, let me know, by the way, I tend to motor mouth. Let me know if I'm speaking too quickly, because look, as a professor, as a broadcaster, as a human being, as a coach, sometimes I'm speaking too quickly. Don't be ashamed if I'm speaking too quickly. I should be ashamed. You let me know after the break if you need me to slow it down. But on that note, you're watching WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host of the Barbershop. This is Going Bold Wednesdays, part of the Going Bold Network. Check us out on YouTube, on Roku, on all these other great places. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. We are talking about the thin line between love and hate. We're going to be right back after this. Oh, that was it? I was checking my emails. That was a quick commercial break. Welcome back to the show. This is the Barbershop. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. You are watching the Bold Network on WGSN. We are so excited to be talking about the thin line between love and hate. I'm Dr. Christopher Salute, your host, also CEO of too many letters behind his name, CEO of a bunch of other stuff, PhD in psychology. Were we playing more commercials? PhD in psychology, as well as life and relationship coach. So we just got finished talking about Amber Heard. I think we had a really spirited conversation with regard to that. And I'd like to get into some comments, and then we're going to hear what some of the experts have to say. So Mandy said, I feel like hate is so often one person projecting their inner pain. I think we talked about that. Hurt people. Then Shariva said, I read a lot about the 8 primary emotions, but I truly believe there's only one primary emotion, and that's happiness. Everything else is feeling that way, is feeling that always have others-based feelings underneath. Now, Shariva, I'm going to fight you on this one because I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that actually, psychologically, what I've read, and now I'm not a clinical psychologist, I'm an org psychologist, so it's a little different, but actually, pleasure is actually the absence of pain. Happiness is the absence of sadness. So one might actually argue the other way and say that happiness is not a primary emotion, that sadness and pain are primary emotions, the same way that disgust is one of the first emotions that we're able to exhibit. Sadness and pain are our most popular, our most, I don't want to say tribal, but innate emotions. Let's talk about, before we do this, let's talk about primary emotions real quick. Let's see. 8 primary emotions: anger, fury, outrage, wrath, irritability, hostility, resentment, and violence. That's 1. Joy, fear, anticipation, disgust. Let's see what the other ones. Here's the problem with a lot of these. Disgust, hold on. Grief, amazement, loathing, rage, vigilance, ecstasy. We like that. Admiration, terror, and amazement. So happiness actually isn't even on there. I guess ecstasy would be. Ecstasy. Which we love. Here's the thing, right? With a lot of these, I haven't really gotten into Plutchik's model of the 8 emotions, but a quick search in some white papers would tell me whether it's a validated model or not. So many of the things that we talk about in pop psychology are not validated. They have no validated scientific proof. For example, I hate to burst your bubble, folks. If anybody talks to me about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, bro, it's not a thing. It's a theory that has never actually been validated. Now, you can say, well, I kind of feel that way. It's not actually a validated model. So I'm not saying Plutchik's 8, because I don't know enough about Plutchik's 8 emotions to say. I mean, I probably learned about it in basic psych or personality psych. I don't know enough about it. But what I can say is this. If it's validated, great. If it's not, then we've got to find another model to talk about, right? So let's say what Stacy says. Stacy says, you've been practicing that voice. The Yoda voice? Absolutely not. No, I really practice. I did not, that voice. I don't think I've ever, maybe once or twice, like drunk or something, I've done it. But it's the same, like I can't do Jar Jar Binks' voice. Like Jar Jar, it's like, Misa's a moron. Like I don't understand that. I will tell you what I used to do. I used to call up my friends, when we would go to Disney, I used to call, before that Disney thing came, I used to call my friends with Mickey's voice and say like obscene stuff. I'd be like, it's time to get up now. And they'd be like, dude, I don't want to wake up. And I'd be like, you were out partying late last night with hookers and cocaine. And they were like, this is not Disney. So I've definitely done those types of voices for sure. Mandy says we love an impression. I'll do a whole show with Mickey. We can totally, we can have some fun there. But we're getting away from the topic. The topic is the thin line between love and hate. I'll tell you a bit about my experiences. This is something, if you know me, and I'm not going to get into the whole cancellation thing again, but I was canceled a couple years ago, and I get some sort of pattern that I've seen where when I tended to break up with someone. Jesse says, I was on TikTok saying about love and fear. Yes, Jesse, love it. Absolutely. Jesse, please get me your TikTok so that I can follow you. And I want to hit that in a second. But I've had a pattern, not always. I'd say probably, about 2/3 of my past relationships end up in friendship. Maybe there's a fight or a scuffle and they end up in friendship. Almost all of them, there's never a fight or never a scuffle, but it's just like, hey, I'm not feeling it, but I've had about 1/3 of them end in like some pretty bad stuff. And there is that thin line between love and hate. And I've seen it. I've seen that kind of like resentment and that kind of like when you no longer serve someone, they turn into this like, there's hatred. And I think what I found is exactly what has been shared. It's this, there's this fear, this vulnerability that's been shared. And then all of a sudden you've given to someone and they've not received it properly. And when you fear that and it's not received properly, it's going to wind up hurting you. And what do you want to do when you're hurt? What's the one thing you want to do when you're hurt? You want to defend yourself. And if defending yourself means hurting somebody else, like if you've ever seen the movie Ender's Game, right? Ender was this incredible military tactician, and he said to the admiral, the guy was like, why did you continue to hit the bully? And he's like, well, the first hit knocked him down because I was defending myself. Then the subsequent 22 hits made sure he never hit me again. And so that's kind of how we feel when somebody's hurt us in that vulnerable state. The first hit is to knock them down. The next 22 hits is to make sure that they never do it again, right? Now, is that the right thing? No. Is Amber Heard right? No. Are you right for exhibiting that emotion of fear into hatred and then exhibiting that hatred into the manifestation of behaviors? Absolutely not. Jesse says, fear of losing someone changes us to keep them, but with Amber, she took it too far. She thought that by controlling him, she would keep him and his love. Jesse, I agree with you, and let me take this a step further, my dude, right? And dude is, by the way, I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes. So you can be a dude and be any gender or sex, by the way. When you think that by controlling someone, you're going to receive their love. Do you understand that you are doing the exact opposite of what it is that you should be doing? Like, are you out of your mind? Right? It's the same thing. And I'll bring back, I'm not done with you yet, Cece, about this debate between non-monogamy and monogamy on the last podcast. Because so often we feel that by putting structures in place to keep someone from straying from the marriage, that they're going to love us more. The reality is they were going to do what they were going to do no matter what. And so perhaps it's a good idea to let the reins loose a little bit, let you have your time, and then you'll come back and you'll still be in love. I say this about every relationship. I don't care what it is. If I'm at a point where you are checking my phone, whether it's warranted or not, the relationship is over. Why? Because it doesn't mean that you're wrong. There could be infidelity. There could be a reason for you to check my phone. But if you don't have the ability to ask me, then I've not created a safe space for you. You have not found yourself in a safe space. You are resentful. You are blah, 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 blah. And so we are not going to work anymore. And we always say this, right? Trust is easy. It takes a lifetime to build, a day to break, and it's impossible to rebuild, right? You break this mug, right? It's metal, but let's say it was plaster. You break this mug, you try to glue it back together. No way. It's never going to hold water, right? Oh, wait, let's get that back up again. I'm so sorry. Speaking from my own experience, the past me used to force myself to hate the person to protect myself from the pain of losing someone I love. And that's real. That's a real emotion. And I get it, and it sucks. And let's stop on this one, Cece. So I want to hit Shariva, and then we'll hit up Jesse. Thank you. It's a real thing to do. But here's the thing. It's the same. I'm going to keep bringing it back up. It's the same way we talked about that kind of open relationship yesterday in the last podcast. It's the fear that by you sharing your true self, you're going to lose this person. And here's what love is. And here's what love is to me. And I know this is what love is to other people, because when you feel it, you feel it. Love is when you disclose yourself to someone and they go, either me too, or maybe not me too, but it's cool. I got you. I got you for your good, your bad. Now, I'm not going to agree with all of it, but I got you for your good and bad. One of the things that I'm telling you, my test for an ex that was toxic. You want to talk about love and hate? This woman within minutes was posting on social media, and she was wrong, but was whatever. I'm not going to get into it. I said to her, and I firmly believe this. And look, if you're my friend and you don't agree with me on this, you are no longer my friend. But here's the thing. I said to her, I said, because we knew of a couple in New York, and this guy was like a famous bank robber. He was a friend. My family knew them or whatever. Like went to dinner with one of them once, and the bank robber was robbing banks every day to feed his family. He didn't tell his wife that he lost his job, which okay, I kind of disagree with that, but he felt pressure, an immense amount of pressure, and he was robbing banks. Only what he needed. He literally was to the nickel, robbing what he needed to pay his bills and saying he was going to work instead of finding a job. And his wife divorced him, not because I think, well, she said it was because he didn't tell her, which was actually the best thing, because the fact that she didn't know meant she could write a book about it and make some money. She had plausible deniability. But she said, I divorced him because he didn't let me in on it, and he was betraying our family. Here's the thing. This is my test. This is my litmus test if you want to be my partner, okay? Yo, if I am robbing banks for our family and you see that as a betrayal, that's where we go wrong. Now, should I bring you in on it? Absolutely. Eventually, I got to let you know what I'm doing. But my kind of partner, if somebody betrays our family and I kill them, you need to help me bury the body. If somebody hurts you and I let them know what's up, you're digging the hole with me. That's the kind of relationship I want. It's a ride or die kind of relationship. You know what I'm saying? And so back to your point, Shariva, when you said this, to protect yourself, from losing someone, it's that disclosure of, do I love you enough to do what is necessary? And I'm a nonviolent dude. I'm practically Gandhi, right? So I'm not going to do that. But the point is, it's letting in on that vulnerability, that absolute 1000%. I have your back no matter what. I may not agree with you. We're going to talk about it. We're going to definitely make some changes and adjustments as long as you didn't hurt me, but I've got your back, ride or die. Now, Jesse says it's the you are mine and no one else syndrome. Yeah, like, come on. You are mine and nobody else's. Like, let somebody go free. And if they come back, they're good, right? Yeah, controlling, I feel, can totally push them away and do the opposite 1000%. 1000%. And, oh, by the way, we're friends on TikTok. I thought we were. I thought I'd seen some of your stuff. Thank you. Mandy, negative attention is still attention, the same way kids and puppies act out for attention. People do too. I agree with that. And let me explain why. The way to go. Can we just go back to Mandy's for a second? Negative attention. Here's the thing about negative attention, is that you're trying every which way. It's what I call the loose tooth. I call it the loose tooth. You don't care if it's a good feeling or a bad feeling. You just need to know that it's there. You need to know that tooth is there. And it's that you're going to play with that until it falls out, right? And by the way, I have to hand sanitize because I just put my fingers in my mouth. But that it's just not, it's not going to work. Negative attention is not the way. It's one thing if you have a brat dynamic, if you're a brat and you've got a daddy, and that's fine, which I hate. That's not my thing. But, it is what it is. So Jesse says, by the way, we're friends on TikTok. And then Stacy says, Dr. Chris, no, if we both haven't agreed to non-monogamy from the jump, it can't be expected. I'd rather stay single than have someone who can't live with boundaries we both set. Oh, yeah, no, of course, I agree. What did I say that disagreed with that? Love is scary and itself, and losing that love is even worse. Yep. Let's see. Stacy says, oh, he was doing all he could for them. Yes, I've got the shovel. Yeah, talking about the bank robber, right? Yeah, I mean, it's just his decision, right? Look, he should have let them in on it, but maybe he was trying to protect them, right? Shariva, the pressure a man has to provide. Money, honey, I will drive the getaway car. Let's get the kids pizza on the way home. That's what I'm sure, but that's why we're down, right? And I completely agree with that. But I'd love, Stacey, I'd be interested. What did I say that alluded to the fact that I would not disclose non-monogamy? I would always agree to monogamy or non-monogamy. That would be, you have to agree. Otherwise, you're not non-monogamous. You're an asshole. I don't know if I can say that on the air, but here we go. I just did. So while we're waiting for some of those comments to come in, let's hear what the experts have to say. I think this is really, really awesome. Okay, so I have a couple of different articles up. I've got Psychology Today, and then I've got Huffington Post. There was a couple of essays as well that I didn't pull up that I thought were kind of okay. But here's what Huffington Post says. Hold on, where did I put it? I'm scrolling behind the thing here. Hate often comes and can be triggered by an actual experience of love, said Epley, which is part of an article. When you feel the most hate towards somebody else or some out group, it's typically when your in group is feeling really threatened, meaning there's some threat there. So people are willing to die, to put their lives on the line, to try to save the life of somebody who is part of their in group. It's really a tight brotherhood with others that seem to inspire the most hatred for others. So what they're talking about is when you feel an intense amount of love, you're also willing to die for that. And I think they were talking about war, right? But let's talk about this other expert here. Hold on. This is Psychology Today. Thin line between love and hate. A couple of things. There's a couple of things that people think about when they start to hate someone. She's a bad person for not loving me, or they're a bad person for not loving me. The most obvious scenario in which you hate and love a person at the same time is one in which your love is not reciprocated. Now, stop for a moment. I firmly believe it is not love unless it's reciprocated. It could be lust. It could be infatuation. I think love happens between two people. Tell me what you think on that, but we'll see. If you lack confidence already, this is going to be a further blow to your self-esteem. So that you may see it as a flaw to your personality, and you're bound to hate that person. Yeah, I can agree with that. Love takes away your personal freedom. Also very true. Have an actual we spend time together relationship with another person on the basis of love. Romantic love requires giving up a little bit of your autonomy. You may resent that person, right? So you may resent that person, and then that resentment can turn into love. That's what Psychology Today says, and that makes sense. Kimmy says that's interesting, and I think she's talking about love can't be one-sided. Mandy says yes, love cannot be one-sided as well. Let's see this next one from Psychology Today. Love makes you vulnerable. And this is what we've talked about, right? You've given up a bit of yourself. Yes, love can't be one-sided. Absolutely. Thank you. You've given up somewhat of yourself. You're in fear that takes place. Let's go to this comment, and then we'll go back to the list. Jesse says, with this toxicity of relationship, I think of the phantom limb sensation. Oh, let's see this. Because when you are on the verge of losing someone, you trick yourself into believing that they still love you. Oh my goodness, Jesse, you are on freaking fire tonight. Let me read that again. With this toxicity of relationship, I think of the phantom limb sensation. Now, if you don't know what the phantom limb sensation is, I'll explain in a second. Because when you are on the verge of losing someone, you trick yourself into believing that they still love you. Let's first hit up the phantom limb sensation. That's when you've lost a limb. It could be due to amputation, arm, leg, whatever. And you still can feel it itch or tickle, right? You still feel as though it's there, and you go to grab it or you step on it, and it's not there, and it's a terrible feeling, right? So what Jesse is saying is, you're on the verge of losing someone, you trick yourself into believing that they still love you. It's denial, right? It's one of the few steps in actually the transition from love to hate. First it's love, then it's resentment, then it could be denial, then it's like full-blown hate, right? You're going, no, this person does not like me. It's just that they blah, 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 right? So, it is what it is. So Mana says this. Breaking the trauma cycle is important too. People who've been in several traumatic/abusive relationships, no matter the type of relationship, the brain gets addicted to the rush of endorphins from the fear and trauma. This, I think, is where the I always date ex people comes from. Got to recognize that love-hate cycle. So 100% agree with that, right? We tend to equate, we see model, right? We see modeling. So we may see mom and dad, we may see aunt and uncle, we may see cousins, we may see best friends, and they're modeling that love behavior, right? We see that all day long, modeling, right? That's number one. But then we experience our own relationship. This is where I can't stand. when a mommy or daddy tells a little girl, well, he's only pulling your hair because he likes you. He's only excluding you because he likes you. He's saying hurtful things because he likes you. Bruh, stop with that rhetoric, because you're training women to think that if somebody doesn't like them, they're going to treat them like utter trash. And that's not okay. Now, I want you to hit up on this other part of it, right? So you said, we've got this cycle. I always date this. I always date that. You know me, right? You know that I'm going to be the person that says it is possible. Look, is it possible that somebody's a narcissist when they say I've only dated psychopaths? 100%. But let's put this out there. 0.5% of the U.S. population are actually narcissists. They're actually, what's the word? Diagnosed narcissists, or they could even self-diagnose, right? But so somebody says they've dated only psychopaths or they've only dated crazy people, men or women. You might want to put some stock into that for a couple of reasons. Number one, you've got a pattern of being attracted to the same type of person. And I'll say this for me, okay? Did I date some folks who flew off the hinge because I left them? 1,000%. Was I targeting people to date who were quick to love? 1,000%. I don't know how I found them, but it was a vibe that I felt. I'm 100% empath. So I could find a vibe in there and I go, oh man, they love me so quick. I'm in love. I love this person. Bro, like my mom died when I was 5, dude. Like I got some shit I'm dealing with, right? So yeah, I found some people definitely who loved fast. And guess what? When you love fast, guess what else happens? You hate fast. So now I'm very slow to say I love you. I'm very slow to engage with that. I swear to God, I watched on Facebook, this person who was single put on a profile, said, oh man, I sure wish I had somebody to cuddle with. And this dude was like, I could do that for you. And then I watched this real time. Within 10 minutes, their relationship status changed to in a relationship. They didn't even live near each other. And it's like, that's fast. You know what I'm saying? So the last part of it, this is where, you got to recognize the love-hate cycle. You do have to break that trauma. At the same time, there is definitely a part of you that's going to go back to that feeling, because that feeling, right, is how you equate love. And you feel when you're fighting, you're in love. When you're toxic, you're in love. When you're in pain, you're in love. There was a while where I would only love people that we were hurting each other. We were unavailable. We were seeing other people. I said, oh, those are the people that I love, because I equated love to this pain, right? Shariva, loving someone is giving a part of yourself they feel like an extension of who you are. Losing them also can trigger a feeling of lost identity. 1,000%. And that's why, to my point in that last conversation earlier, is that it's cool to have your, you got to have your space, whether you're monogamous or not, to get your own identity. Make sure you don't. I've been in those relationships. Look, there was a while, who I've dated before, right? There was a while where I would not introduce myself as Dr. Christopher Sloot, bomb-ass psychologist, professor, entrepreneur, author, like dope-ass dude. I would introduce myself as Nikki's fiance, or the guy who was talking to Tess, or like whatever. And you know what, bro? Like, I'm so much more than that partner. So much more. Or the guy who dated Sarah for a little bit. Like the people who like had this personality. I'm my own personality. Sorry about that. So let's say Jesse says, yes, I so agree. It's like in my Mexican community, we're told as girls, being quiet makes you look prettier. So when we're being hurt or mistreated, we tend to say nothing. 1, hate it, right? 2, it's the same thing. I wanted to share it, but I couldn't get it up fast enough. It was a church group, and I don't remember, everyone brought their husband's shoes into the church group. It was a female church group, and they put the shoes on and they took a picture with the circle, all the shoes. And the moral of the story was, these shoes are too big for us. We don't want these shoes. We don't want to work. We don't want the responsibility of a husband. We want to be taken care of, and blah, 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 blah. You are conditioning young women to not think for themselves and be independent. You, in the Mexican culture, are conditioning women to do the same thing. So many women are fearful of making more money than their spouse, being smarter than their spouse, doing all these things. And let me explain something. Jesse, you seem like a really cool woman. If you were too quiet for me, I'd be like, oh, she's not interested in me. Now, there's a difference between being, I tend to dominate a room because, listen to me, I'm a fool with a microphone. So I do like someone who kind of lays back and listens, because I like to tell my stories a little bit, because I got to get over that stupid ego part of me, and then I can be my own person, which is something I have to deal with, right? But if you weren't saying anything, I'm like, oh, she doesn't like me. So you got to get it. You got to have that balance. Shariva says, people who have only toxic relationships have a lack of emotional maturity and clarity. Self-reflection needs to happen. Yes, 100%. And this is something that takes time. It takes time. And look, I don't blame you. I don't blame these people, right? There were years and years and years where when I had relationships, they were toxic. I'm finally at a point now where I really do. I love myself. I don't accept toxicity in my life. And I'll tell you what, something somebody said to me recently. If I can't break up with you with class, I will not date you. Meaning, if we don't vibe to the point where our ideals align, there's no point in starting. And I loved it. Mandy, after my divorce, it took me a very long time to discover who I was now that I was no longer so-and-so's wife. I definitely agree with that sense of lost identity. 1,000%. I mean, I'll talk about it now. My ex-wife and I, we were Chris and Chris. Christina and Christopher. And so, it was part of my identity. We both went to the same college. It was a thing, it was definitely a thing. Jesse says, not quite. You're not quiet. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So last but not, let's hit up the rest of these real quick on the the psychology today. We already went through the vulnerability. The other person has flaws that you don't like, so you start to hate them. You see their true colors. Ambivalence. When somebody blends the hate, this is the case of ambivalence. Functional relationships, ambivalence tend to be short-lived. The love trumps the hate. Okay, that's fair. And then it says that thin line. So it basically says, persuaders were not, in fact, singing about hating and loving a person at the same time, but about love turning to hate, because it's a song. The Persuaders, a thin line between love and hate. When lead singer Douglas Smokey Scott laid those vocals down, it was because his woman had sliced him up like cold cuts after he'd stepped all over her night after night. Suddenly, her love turned to hate. And so if you don't know the song, I didn't realize that they even referenced the song. Here we go. The lyrics, it's a great song, by the way. It's a great song. Where are the lyrics? Do you have the lyrics? No, hold on. Oh no, do they not have lyrics? You can't Google lyrics of old songs? I know the new songs have them. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Lyricsgenius.com. 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just getting in. I knock at the door. Doesn't give me a second thought. It's a thin line between love and hate. Don't think you can keep breaking your woman's heart. It's a thin line between love and hate, and she'll sit back and enjoy it. It's a thin line between love and hate. She gonna fool you one day. The sweetest woman in the world can be the meanest woman in the world. So if you make her that way, you keep on hurting her, and that's true, right? What they say, there's no bigger wrath than a woman scorned, right? Legit. So. That being said, I think we got some really great comments tonight. And look, I will reiterate this 1,000 times, right? I thought this was relevant due to Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. I still think it's relevant. I don't condone these actions. I think that we need to understand, and look, toxicity to me, when people equate toxicity to abuse, it's not entirely correct, but it's not entirely incorrect either, right? Check it. When you're treating someone with that level of toxicity, there's some abuse there, right? There's some potential abuse there. It ain't cool. It's not a cool thing to do. Nobody was a kid in elementary school daydreaming about their marriage and going, I want to have the most toxic relationship in the world. They're like, I want to love someone for who they are, and I want somebody to love me for who I am. Jesse says, I enjoyed the combo. I appreciate you. Thank you, Jesse. So that said, I think what we learned today is, look, we have to understand where people are coming from. Yeah. But at the same time, we do also have to realize that, while there's a thin line between love and hate, some behaviors are not acceptable. And you have to appreciate where people are coming from. Let them grow, let them heal. Understand that you took a part in it probably, but get out, right? If that hatred turns to abuse, if that hatred turns into behavior and actions, get out. Unless, by the way, we're both robbing banks and killing people. And if we're going to Bonnie and Clyde style, then all you have to do is bury the body. That said, my name's Dr. Christopher Sloot. I'm so appreciative of all the folks who came out tonight. You have watched the Going Bold Network on Going Solo Media. I am your host, Dr. Christopher Sloot of the Barbershop. Tonight, we talked about the thin line between love and hate with one of our biggest examples is Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Jesse says, don't tolerate the unintolerable. I totally agree with that. If we learned anything tonight, I think the lesson tonight was that we need to understand where folks are coming from, and we need to set our own boundaries. I'm Christopher Sloot. You're watching The Barbershop, and that is the show. Cut.